Alright, Ahar here, and I'm back with another video on the Court of Stars. Gonna go through this video, or this dungeon. Fairly simple dungeon all the way up until probably, I don't know, the mini-bosses area? Around there. I do a slightly different route compared to most groups. But it's only slightly different. Let me fast forward a little bit. So this first ad that people usually sap, I drag it up for the clean 100%. Just yeah, 100% on the count. So for this first alarm, normally what I do is I have my priest kick it, but sometimes, you know, depending on whether he's slow, he might not get it. And this was on a bolster week, so the sentries do bolster, hence why I kind of pulled in this construct slightly late. However, you can pull the construct in immediately, and normally what I do is I'll have the construct on focus and I'll kick the first charging station, and I'll roar the sentry. I'll roar the first sentry, and then for the second sentry I'll typhoon, because once it starts casting and you roar or typhoon, that's it. It won't cast the ring the alarm thing anymore, and it'll just come over and melee you. When the sentry throws a torch though, just press a defensive. That's when I like to press Bristling Fur as well. I think this dungeon I didn't run Bristling Fur from the looks like it. Yeah, seems like I did not. Alright. Same thing here. Right here, you can opt to not pull in the sentry yet. So oh no, we pulled it. I think it was by accident, but you can let the sentry pat away. Depending on how the sentry pats, you can pick it up immediately, or you can wait. You can wait for it to pat closer to you. So it kind of like pats just this little line that my crosshair is on. And so if it's patting towards you, then you can just pull this construct, wait for it to pat a little closer, then pick it up. If you don't want to, you know, kill the sentry along with all this other shit, just makes it easier for your DPS to target it. Otherwise, there's going to be a million mana worms, and it gets very, very hectic. Especially on, you know, storming weeks, things like that. Either way, same thing again. If you need to stop things, focus kick is once again your friend. We'll continue to advocate for this in every video. Must have. Okay, gonna fast forward a little bit again. Right here, I think I let my warrior go do his spell reflect on these sentries. Yep, he goes spell reflect. Just, you know, some extra damage. He spell reflects the torches on them. And then right here, we just roar real quick so that it stops the cast, and then you can immediately move on to the next pack. Right here, I don't really care about that sentry because it's already bolstered. Bring it over, and then the health should be kind of even since it's a little lower. I believe on storming weeks, yeah, I pull this left pack because I don't want to pull additional trash onto the boss. Usually, I will pull the pack, the mana worm pack, kind of like in the back of this room. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just the mana worm pack with the one guard. Usually I'll pull that into the boss, but on storming weeks it becomes very, very annoying. You can easily have deaths. And so I opt to pull this pack instead on the left side, right side of the bridge from my angle right now. So a couple things to note for this pack. I usually have Incarn for it. These little elementals, they do a frontal blast. Definitely change the sound for their blast. It can very easily kill you. The standard Bigwigs package doesn't have I guess a notable sound for it. It just sounds like a regular thing. It might even be turned off by default. I don't remember. Either way, that thing will kill you. So be very careful with it. You can stop it very easily with just like a disorienting roar. It just sits there and casts. So you can just step to the side as well if you want. Try to aim it away from the group, obviously. But it does not have any kind of like animation. Where it's facing is where it's gonna blast, so it can secretly kill. Just aside from that, if you don't deactivate all the pillars, which is, one way to do this dungeon, because you want to fail one thing. It's either the costume RP thing at the end, or you fail one of these pillars. Either or works. Once again, just focus, kick the ad in, and it's kind of free cleave. Might be a bit of funnel too, so could be worth. Gonna fast forward a little bit. And then usually we let our priest go do the skip. There are guides out there to where you can skip as a priest very easily. There are plenty of classes that can do the skip. You just need to go take a look at a YouTube guide on it. So our healer is doing the skip so that we can have the doors open to enter the next area. Meanwhile, our group comes back here to do the docks. Always press the defensive going into this pull. The melees do hurt a lot. Because you have no iron first stacks. You need to get everything rolling. So right there I had Barkson pop and I still dropped very low. And then again, I have focus kick. But aside from that, just once again, pointing frontals away. And you have this entire dock area to work with, just kind of moving back and forth, non-stop. Another thing to note for this pack is do not use Vortex on like this week. It's a spiteful week, so you don't want to drop a Vortex because you want to use it for the imps next. You can use Typhoon and Roar, but not at the very end of the pull, okay? Not at the very end. Usually, I get the first two stops on the imps. I tag it with Thrash usually, And then I will drop a Vortex, Roar first, and then I knock after. Then my Evoker does this too, and then usually after that, it's Fears, if they're not dead yet. But that's a sequence that our group normally does. And then the Inquisitor. So the Inquisitor will always do, well, if you are a Guardian Druid for the Inquisitor, you don't even have to be a Guardian Druid. Ice Storm should be 2 melee kicks and 2 stuns / knocks. And that's all you need. The rotation will be obviously every other kick for melee. And then you rotate Typhoon and whoever else is stun. In this case, it's my warrior, Stormbolt, and we just alternate for the ice storms. You can't fear them though. You can't fear. Knock for whatever reason does work though to stop the ice storm. But they cannot be feared. Cannot use disorienting roar. Stuns will work though. So bit of a weird one. Normally for this, I will pull the other Inquisitor by the book. So it's like off to my left-hand side, I'll pull it in. However, because it's bolstering week, I pull it in late. So as you can see here, just pull it in. And you can pull this, you can pull trash onto mini bosses very easily, as long as you understand how to stop it. So for the Bewitch, your other DPS can stop it. For the Inquisitor, once again, 2 melee kicks, 2 range kicks. Dark Slashes, you can easily just range it by just stepping away, like 5 yards out, 10 yards out. And then if the Bewitch does get off, your healer can just dispel it. And that's pretty much about it. But as you can see, every single time there's a Dark Slash, you just step away. 125, it's already a clean one-shot. Without defensives, that is. If you prop a defensive, you can probably tank it. But it will definitely kill you. So be very careful with that. And now we head over to the other side and we're going to pick up the imps. And then we do another kind of a double pull usually. And so the only thing in this kind of area on court that you want to work on is just understanding how to do the double pulls with the Inquisitor plus Succubus. Inquisitor specifically, just understanding how to control the Inquisitor will make these double pulls a lot easier and save you a lot more time. But you obviously will have to coordinate with your other melee or whoever else you're stopping it with. Alright, so we finish these and then we're off to do another double pull. One thing to note for this first Inquisitor is there will be one kick where you have to line, like the Inquisitor will be casting and you want to kick that one while the Enforcer is casting its thing. I believe it's on the third Enforcer thing right here, where there's a cast of yeah, there it is. We took a hit because we couldn't interrupt while the Enforcer is doing that. So you can have one of your range kick on that third one before he lines, and then that should stop it. But once again, you want to be very careful. I took a Dark Slash there. This will take a bit of practice because you have 3 things to track. One is Ice Storm, another is Kick, and then the Dark Slash. And on top of that, obviously Failed Detonation is going off. You can eat the fell detonations. I got slashed there because I didn't move, directly away from the succubus. But what I was saying was you can eat every single fell detonation, no problem. The main thing that you want to do is if you're inside of Incarn and you want to have Incarn for this pull. I didn't have it at the start, so it was definitely a little scary at the start. But if you don't have Incarn, 100% need to pop defensive and then frenzy regen healing. If you do have Incarn, you don't need to press defensives. You can eat every single one and just heal it with frenzied regen, and then you can save your defensives for after Incarn, and then you can continue tanking those. That way, it makes it a little easier, keeps everything in the same place, and it makes it a little easier to knock/kick for your group. That way, they don't have to like scramble around, figuring out where the mob is, if it's out of position, etc. For this boss, if you do have a priest MDing, you might want to position yourself to after the wildfire heal. Not required, but could help. I believe here we're gonna drag it over to do trash because we only killed the one enforcer. The way this route works is you're supposed to kill 2 enforcers. However, if you get lucky with the spawning things, then you can skip an enforcer and you go and do the other trash packs, which is succubus and the inquisitor plus a dog with a few imps, and that will be the rest of your percent. Okay, so we're gonna fast forward a little. Same thing again here. I get the first 2 stops on imps with the vortex plus disorienting roar. Always try to drop the vortex early before you do your first stop with disorienting roar. Always drop it early because 2 GCDs may not be fast enough to do vortex and then typhoon. It may not be fast enough. The imps will get their cast off. I have definitely had that happen quite a few times, so always drop your vortex early. Alright. For this boss, we have a very bad comp with killing imps. I mean, it's not the worst, but our comp definitely is not the greatest. So we have come up with the system where on evens, our priest is fearing first, and then my evoker knocks. On odds, it is my disorienting roar into typhoon, and then the warrior will fear after that if necessary. The way we planned out our damage cooldowns as well is priest pops on like immediately, and then you'll have another set or another use towards the very end. Our evoker waits for the first set of imps to spawn before he pops his, and then he takes care of the second or the first and second set, maybe even the third set, depending on whether lust is available. And then for the fourth set is where it's a little tricky for us, and that's where I'll usually use my trinket. That's where we want to use like trinkets, like whetstone, things like that, on the fourth set. But luckily for us, we are playing with our warrior. I think we had the warrior plan out for the fourth. Normally we play with a Feral Druid, so it's a little different. Okay. And then on the 5th set, you'll have Incarn again. Pop Incarn on pull for this boss fight, by the way. Otherwise, you won't have it up for the 5th set. I believe 5th set comes up like around minute 45 to minute 55, somewhere around there. I could be wrong, actually. It might be different. I might be mixing it up with SPG timers. Also, definitely grab a Weaker or something add-on to help with this. Well, I don't know why we haven't done it already. We're just trash at this minigame. Myself included. Alright, fast forwarding a little bit. For this mini boss, always pop a defensive on the Vampiric Claws. It does heal him, so always try to pop something for it. And usually, I believe you can get every 3rd bat with the Sorensen Roar. Aside from that, not too much else. Whoever is opening the door, try to have them peel off early, probably when the mob is around, I don't know, 15%. Something like that. They can peel off early to go activate the door, and then you can kind of heal your group up with your After the Wildfire proc. I believe our priest should be moving out slowly. Yeah, right there. From left to go to the door, and then we finish this up. Okay. For the last boss, the main things that you want to do is try to time an After the Wildfire proc for the Slicing Wind. I think that's what the cast is called. And then in addition to that, you also want to, soak some of the stun puddles. The puddles that stun you, circles, whatever they're called. Usually speaking, you don't want to have your healer dispel before the I don't even know what it's called. Slicing Winds. It's about to go. Slicing Maelstrom. That's what it's called. You don't want to have your healer dispel before this, especially if it's a Disc Priest, because they need to ramp a bit. The rest of the Druids also need to ramp a bit, so try not to have them dispel before that. You can have them dispel after, immediately after, or, during this next one. During this one is a little sketchy, obviously, since there's lines coming in immediately. Sorry, I got the thing mixed up. I skipped one. But it's always Slicing Maelstrom into the lines. So right here, that's when I have him dispel, because there's a Piercing Gale, that's what it's called. Piercing Gale is right after. But I try not to soak during this one, because Slicing Maelstrom comes up. And then obviously if you don't have any CDs, you can go soak some after proccing or after the wildfire. You can just go jump in one if you really want. Absolutely fine as well. I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but during Piercing Gale, if you are stunned by a circle, it does not do any damage to you. I could be wrong about that. So if you try it and you break your key, it's definitely not on me, and I didn't tell you. Alright, that's pretty much it for Court of Stars. The biggest time savers is for sure the trash pulling onto mini bosses, trash pulled onto enforcers, because it's very inefficient to be single targeting mini bosses and enforcers then. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.